Welcome to part 1 of a 2-part video series which is going to take us right the way through the Magic Kingdom. We're going to be looking at which attractions, restaurants and stores are going to be open and which are going to be closed. We'll start in Main Street, work our way around to Adventureland, then through Frontierland, into Liberty Square, Fantasyland and then finally Tomorrowland. By the end of the second part we're going to know what's open and what's closed. Part 1 will take us up Main Street, into Adventureland and then through into Frontierland. This is a map of Main Street USA only. We'll start at the railroad station at the bottom of the map and work our way right up through to the Crystal Palace at the top left and the Plaza restaurant at the right. I'll leave out the Tomorrowland Terrace restaurant and we'll deal with that when we get to Tomorrowland. We start just in front of the railroad station at the wheelchair rentals. This is on the right hand side just before you enter the park and will be open on July the 11th. Just inside Main Street Station you'll find stroller rentals and these will be available on park opening day. The Walt Disney World Railroad is out of service. It's been out since 2019 and will be out until sometime in 2021. This is because of the construction of the Tron attraction and it meant that the Walt Disney World Railroad tracks had to be moved and relaid. We'll then go left to the Chamber of Commerce. This is where you pick up your packages that you bought earlier in the day around the park. The Chamber of Commerce will be open when the park reopens. Moving around to City Hall, this is where you'll find Lost and Found, accessibility information, assistance for international guests including currency exchange, dining reservations, separated guest assistance, guests with disabilities assistance, and ticket information and upgrades. City Hall will be open on July the 11th. Moving a little further left and we come to Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. You will be able to get cards here and the interactive game is available around the park. The barn in the top left there is where the Move It, Shake It, Dance It parade and the Festival of Fantasy parade both end. Neither of these parades will be operational when the park reopens. As we come round towards Main Street, the Harmony Barber Shop is next. Harmony Barber Shop will not be open when the park reopens. On the corner of Main Street now is the Emporium, and this very large store will be open when the park reopens. We cross the street to the Main Street Confectionery and this store will be open on July the 11th. In the right hand corner of Town Square is the Chapeau and it too will be open on July the 11th. Moving round to the exit to the park and Tony's Town Square restaurant will be open when the park reopens. The Town Square Theatre is where you can meet Mickey Mouse and Tinkerbell, but unfortunately they won't be there on park reopening. Town Square Theatre also houses box office gifts. This is where you can pick up your Disney PhotoPass photos and it will be open on day 1. Moving out of Town Square and into Main Street, we'd normally see entertainment at various times of the day, but the citizens of Main Street, the Main Street Philharmonic and the Main Street Trolley Show won't be operational when the park reopens. About halfway up Main Street on the right hand side is Crystal Arts and it will be open when the park reopens. Disney Clothiers sits just across from Crystal Arts, but unfortunately it will not be open when the park reopens. As we keep walking up Main Street Bakery, which is actually a Starbucks, will be open when the park reopens. At the top of Main Street on the left is Casey's Corner, famous for its hot dogs, but not when the park reopens. Unfortunately, Casey's Corner will be closed. Right opposite Casey's Corner at the top of Main Street is the Plaza Ice Cream Parlor. This is one of those places you can get the kitchen sink, but it will also be closed. Right next door to the Plaza Ice Cream Parlor is the Plaza Restaurant. It will be open on opening day. Finally, in the Main Street section is the Crystal Palace. This is a character meal restaurant with Winnie the Pooh and friends, but unfortunately will be closed upon park opening. Now I know a lot of people turn right once they get to the partner statue, but we're going to buck the trend and we're going to go left into Adventureland. Here's the overview of what we're going to be looking at here. Our first stop as we cross the bridge is the Sunshine Tree Terrace and it will be open on July the 11th. Just along and to the left from the Sunshine Tree is the Swiss Family Treehouse. It will also be open when the park reopens. Although it's not named on Disney's map, Island Supply is just across from Magic Carpets of Aladdin. This shop will also be open when the Magic Kingdom reopens. And this brings us on to the Magic Carpets of Aladdin. It will be open on July the 11th and watch out for that spitting camel. Next up is Aloha Isle, famous for its Dole Whip. And yes, you will be able to get a Dole Whip on July the 11th. You either love or hate the Enchanted Tiki Room and you're going to get a chance to love or hate it again on July the 11th. Jungle Cruise is next on the list and you will be able to set sail again on July the 11th. Pirates of the Caribbean is one of my favourite rides at Magic Kingdom and it will be open when the park reopens on July the 11th. Opposite Pirates of the Caribbean is the Tortuga Tavern. It will be closed on July the 11th. The Pirates League will not reopen when the park reopens, and in fact it will be closed for good. It was due to close on July the 27th, 2020 anyway, so this is just brought forward, it's closing a little bit earlier. Our last stop in Adventureland is the Plaza del Sol Caribe Bazaar. This store will be open when the Magic Kingdom reopens. We'll follow the map round now into Frontierland, and here's an overview of what you can find there. The first place we see as we go up to two of the three mountains is Picos Bill's Tall Tales Inn and Cafe. Picos Bill's will reopen on park reopening day. I do like the toppings bar here, but I think it will be closed. Going up the hill a little bit, then we get to Splash Mountain, another one of my favourite rides in this park. Although it will be rethemed to Princess and the Frog, Splash Mountain will reopen as scheduled on July the 11th. No details have been released by Disney as to when it will close for the retheming. I do have a few favourites in this park. This is another one, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and thankfully this one will also be open as the park reopens. In the middle of the Rivers of America is Tom Sawyer's Island, and Tom Sawyer's Island will reopen on July the 11th. Coming back round the corner past Picos Bill's and we get to the Country Bear Jamboree. This funny little show will be available for you to see on July the 11th. Next door to the Country Bear Jamboree is the Frontier Trading Post, but it won't be open when the park reopens on July the 11th. I just need to jump back to Westward Ho, which is opposite the Country Bear Jamboree. This is a place for good breakfast sandwiches, but it won't be open as the park reopens on July the 11th. Right next door to the Frontier Trading Post is the Frontierland Shooting Arcade. This will also remain closed on park opening. The last stop in Frontierland is the Diamond Horseshoe restaurant. This will remain closed when the Magic Kingdom opens. That's going to conclude part 1 of the tour of the Magic Kingdom. In the second and last part we're going to go straight into Liberty Square. There we'll take a look at the Liberty Square Riverboat, Columbia Harbour House Restaurant, the Haunted Mansion, Hall of Presidents and more. We'll then keep going clockwise around the park into Fantasyland. We'll pop into It's a Small World, Peter Pan's Flight, Enchanted Tales with Belle, Be Our Guest Restaurant, the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, among others. To conclude our review of Magic Kingdom, we're going to be then looking at Tomorrowland. This includes another of my favourite rides, Space Mountain. We'll also review the Astro Orbiter, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, the Tomorrowland Transit Authority, among others. That's it for now, so I'll see you in part 2.